It is Sunday. We are live. It is NFL divisional playoffs. We got your best bets. We're going to Vegas. DraftKings Sportsbook Director Johnny Avello is going to join us in a few minutes. And we'll look at the biggest fantasy football losers, the biggest disappointments from this past season. Let's get to the show.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara, the sickest Cleveland Browns podcast.
Chubb runs, he's to the 10, 15, he's to the 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. There goes Chubb, he's to the 30, 20, 10, 5, touchdown, Shabba Lubba Hub.
It's gonna be sick.
Welcome, everybody. The voice is back. Ish. I'm feeling better. Knocked me out, man. Holy cow. Hope you all are staying healthy as possible. I had this, I don't know what it was. Flu, they said it was COVID, then it wasn't. Then it was antibiotics and cough syrup and all that. And that's why we've been doing more of the kind of writing side on social media over the past week and a bit. But we're back. We're cooking. I did the play-by-play for the National Lacrosse League game last night, so we're feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good. How about those games yesterday? The Lions. What the hell happened? That was your Super Bowl champs, I thought, right? Lions fans and Browns fans, we can commiserate together, man. That was as if the Browns were in that situation, that's what would have happened to us, right? Expectations and crashing down. Wow. What a game. And by the way, Tuesday's show, make sure you're staying tuned for that. We're going to have our buddy Lance Reisland, coach from Cleveland, back on. He did a fantastic piece comparing Shedeur Sanders to Cam Ward and who's the better fit for Cleveland. The article is amazing. We're going to deep dive into that as we get into the quarterback talk. So stay tuned for that. Cannot wait to get that underway. Make sure you're clicking subscribe, notifications on for the channel. Share it, like it, subscribe, leave your comments. Who's your biggest fantasy football losers from this past season? Who cost you? Who was a high picker? Someone you had high expectations for? Didn't do it. Didn't do it for you. We'll get into the quarterback side of it later on in the show. Also on social, give us a follow on X at SickPodBrowns, at AndyMC81, Instagram at AndyMCSports. I was going to say at TikTok, but I don't know if there kind of is a TikTok for the next couple of days, but that's at AndyMCSports too. We'll see if that comes back. I kind of hope TikTok goes away. Pain in the ass. I don't like it. But in any case, also, guys, you can get your fantasy football champion shirt right there. The link is pinned on my X account on Twitter at AndyMC81. You can get that in the store. Also, professional fantasy football player shirt has some cool Browns and Ohio State stuff. And by the way, on Tuesday's show as well, we'll talk about Buckeyes, baby. Buckeyes, Notre Dame, national championship. Hopefully a big win for the old OHIO. And actually, I believe he's on the line now. Let's see if we got him from Las Vegas. DraftKings Sportsbook Director Johnny Avello. See if we got Johnny here. I know Alex is in the house. PR man for DraftKings as we wait for Johnny to pop on. And we're going to take a look at today's games because I want to know from Johnny a few different things on what happened. What was what were the numbers like, the betting line? How many people took a bath on that Lions game? On that Lions Commanders game? Wow. And did you guys hear too? Will Anderson of the Texans said it was us versus the referees. There were two phantom rough in the passer calls. Okay. Let's be honest. However, all right, CJ Stroud and the Texans still threw for 0 passing touchdowns. Some self-inflicted wounds. Did the refs extend drives? Did the Chiefs get some breaks? Yeah. But you also didn't really help yourself. So I get it. It's frustrating. The Chiefs, again, are back in. I think we're in the same mode of sort of being sick of the Chiefs already as we were with the Patriots, right? Like that's kind of what I'm feeling. It's like, all right, we got enough. And there's no real reason to hate on Patrick Mahomes outside of it. Remember with the Patriots got all the breaks. Tom Brady got all the breaks. Got all the breaks, apparently. And then they kept winning. But there's no real reason. Like, there's nothing you can point to Patrick Mahomes and say, boy, I hate that guy. Just like with Tom Brady. The guy's done everything. Last year he never won on the road. Easy path to the playoffs. Well, then he did it all on the road. It's just the fact that this team knows how to win. And they're going back. Bills, Ravens today. Folks, Browns fans, I cannot have Lamar Jackson and the Ravens win this game. I can't have it. I cannot have it. Especially after Baker lost last week. No. Go Buffalo. I'm cheering for the Bills today. Browns fans should be doing the same. No success for Baltimore. None. We don't want it. Ravens are 1-point favorites. Pick them. Not interested. And we're going to go in a moment to the Stadium Mustard Hotline. By the way, folks, look at that. Perfect for football today. Come on. From ballparks to backyards, everywhere in between, Stadium Mustard is a smooth but spicy mustard, rich in taste and tradition. Stadium Mustard is real and organic, not manufactured. They're at Cleveland Browns Stadium, Huntington Bank Field. They're all over Ohio, America, Canada. You can order it. You get your shirts. You got your mustard. Perfect on pork chops. I love them on pork chops. I'll tell you. Deli sandwiches. You're cooking up some barbecue or something today. Slap some Stadium Mustard on it. I absolutely love it. I'm going to be doing that for the games today. I'm going to be making some pork chops and get some Stadium Mustard on it. Let's head out to Las Vegas and welcome in DraftKings Sportsbook Director Johnny Avello. Johnny, welcome. Been a while, my friend. How are you?
Hello, Andy. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Thank you for getting up early with us. Appreciate it. Look, there's no rest for you, I guess, after those games last night and the ones today, right?
No, it's been a busy run here. Going back to last week, couple of college semi-final games Saturday, 2, 3, and then 1 on Monday, right into this week. It's been a busy but really enjoyable time.
Well, let's talk about the games last night before we get to the Sunday ones. The money had to have been, I'm sure there was some counter money just going to the Commanders, but like Johnny, everyone was thinking it wasn't if, it was when the Lions got to the Super Bowl and then if they were going to win the Super Bowl. What was the incoming money like on that Commanders-Lions game?
Yeah, we were really loaded up on the Lions. The money line, mostly teasers, everything with them to win that game straight up. That's kind of been the trend the last few weeks, just betting these favorites, pretty good point spread favorites, money line favorites, laying for anywhere from $3 to $5, just betting them to win and hooking them up with another team who you also think is going to win, which would be Kansas City yesterday, but it didn't work out yesterday for the bettors. So a lot of bets went up in smoke.
Well, that was my kind of thinking too, because I think the line was around 8.5 for the Lions. I thought that's too high, but yeah, let's parlay that together, mix and match it together with the Chiefs, maybe throw in an anytime touchdown here or there to make the ticket a little more exciting. But poof, when you look at Jaden Daniels, like Johnny, this is a guy who CJ Stroud last year, regular season was phenomenal, but into the playoffs, this is a special athlete. What do you think that money is going to be like? And maybe some's coming in already on the Commanders going into the conference championship game next week, no matter who they play.
Yeah, they're betting them already. There were some pretty nice prices to catch Washington Commanders. Not that long ago, you could have had them in that 50-1 range just a few weeks ago. You could have had them. You could have had them in 100 range. I mean, they were just a team that nobody thought would ever get this far. He is special. And I think what makes him special, not only the talent with his legs and, just a good arm and accurate arm, he's calm. I mean, you saw him yesterday on the sidelines. He's just there chilling and just waiting to go out and, make the next play. Now, the Lions defense just killed them this year. I mean, you just can't give up. Sure, they score 33 points a game, and they scored that up yesterday, but you just can't have that type of defense where it's got so many holes in it. And he found the holes. He had a lot of offensive players that are quality offensive players that found those holes, and Detroit just couldn't sustain.
Nah, a ton of injuries, and they're going to have to do some tweaking on that defensive side of the ball for the Lions. We got in the YouTube chat, YWC Football Talk, saying, let's win some money today. That's right, YWC. Let's go. That's our buddy Griff. And on the other side, we look at the Chiefs, and Will Anderson came out. I said earlier after the game saying it was us versus the referees. In part, bottom line is we said the same thing about Tom Brady and all the good teams. The Chiefs, Johnny, as unexciting as it is that, like, to me, I look at it is I'm not betting against the Chiefs until they give me a reason to, and they've not given you any reason to.
Well, their defense is. We all know Mahomes is a special character. We know that. I mean, he's shown us that year in and year out. If he has the ball with any time, and I mean any time, it could be seconds. But if he has the ball and they're need a score, he's going to get them down there, and he's shown that time and time again. Now, their defense is what continues to show up. I mean, their pass rush and. That's what I think is very effective. And I think that was the mistake that Houston made yesterday. I think there were a lot of opportunities over the middle for 6-7 yards. And that's where they should have been having Stroud look. Stroud's still learning. And yesterday he looked like a rookie at times out there. Just, couldn't get out of the grasp of the guys, couldn't get to the outside. When he should have went to the outside, he didn't. So, but they should have had an outlet for him, and they didn't. So that's on the Houston coaching staff. But talking about Kansas City, until somebody knocks them off that pedestal, you're right. They're the king.
Right, and it's not going to make for it's going to be anytime really, I guess, Johnny, when you look to bet the Chiefs to make the ticket more exciting or potentially profitable, you got to be stacking on this, because if you're just taking Chiefs money line, we're not going to be making much cash on that, right? Like, is it with the Chiefs, you really have to look for some of those same game parlays. You got so many good options on DraftKings Sportsbook there, but moving forward, like, kind of combine those tickets with the Chiefs.
Well, the Chiefs, the next game, are going to be the favorite over either the Ravens or the Bills, but it's not going to be much. It's going to be less than 3. And so, a little bit more over the Bills, a little less over the Ravens. So, you don't need a whole lot to stack it. I mean, it's going to be, you're going to lay a decent, if you want them just to win the game straight up, you're going to lay a short price. And if you want to bet them on the spread, that'll also be a short price. So, they're going to be facing a quality foe. The question is, who is that going to be? And is that team going to be beat up? I mean, anytime you get two heavyweights like this fight in a match, it looks like it's going to be, a fight, and who's going to withstand it without having any significant injuries?
Well, that's the big question. In conversation with Johnny Avello live from Las Vegas, DraftKings Sportsbook director, in the chat. You got any bets you want to throw Johnny's way? Any tickets you think? A little sprinkle, pop it in the chat. Let us know what you're betting on today. As Johnny, we move to the games on Sunday. And let's begin. Eagles and Rams. Whoever wins this game will host the Commanders next week. I knew, and Johnny, before going into even the playoffs, I said, whoever is playing the Vikings in the first round, I'm betting for, because I was anticipating Sam Darnold to go pumpkin. He did it. But now you look at a Rams team that can surprise you for sure, but it looks like they're just sort of on that cusp, but maybe a little too old, not enough. If the Eagles don't outthink themselves, I feel they should win this game. They're 7-point favorites. What's Vegas saying about that?
We opened this game 6. We're at 6.5. The total 44.5 is down to 42.5. I could see us getting pushed to 7 at some point. To start with, Andy, the weather there is horrible today. It's cold. It's going to snow 1 to 3 inches. I think it's going to snow maybe during the game and maybe the whole game. So the Rams have just if you want to look at past performances, the Rams have just had a difficult time with the Eagles. The Eagles 7-1 over this team the last 8. And remember, these games all weren't at Philly. 5 of those games were at L.A. So you go back and look at that November 24th game where the Eagles won 37-20. They were only a 3-point favorite in that game. I mean, the Eagles just rushed for 314 yards. And, Barkley had a bunch. He had 255, I think. They were sacked 5 times, the Rams. The Rams had 4 fumbles. They just played awful in that game. Now, the Rams had 9 sacks last week against the Vikings. So if the Rams could put together 4 sacks in this game, 5 sacks, that means they'll probably be in it. But I think what odds are showing and what we're seeing so far is that the general public and the bettors like the Eagles in this one. And I think they're going to continue to bet the Eagles, and that weather's certainly going to have something to do with it too.
That's something to keep an eye on. We got Griff in the chat here. What do you think of this ticket, Johnny? Cooper Kupp over for reception. Saquon rushing and receiving yards over as well. And if the weather is as bad as it's looking, that would, to me, lend itself to maybe those. We know Kupp can hit it in the slot or outside, but this could be a heavy and probably should be a heavy Saquon day also.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to rely on your running attack. And Saquon has just done it every game. And he found a new home, a new life. I mean, I'm a Giant fan, and the Giants just didn't do it for him. The quarterback wasn't good enough to set up the run, and he wasn't for all those years that he was in New York. And now he's with a team where he doesn't have to be the only option. There's a lot of guys that Philly can go to. And so he's just had a tremendous year, MVP year. He's not going to win it, but certainly an MVP year.
He's right in there. I'm with you, Griff, on that wager. I like that. So keep an eye on there. And Johnny, really, that 42.5 points, that's telling us something, because while ideally, you play this in perfect conditions and we have a fun little shootout, that 42.5, are you feeling kind of under on that? That number seems just about right. I'd probably lean the under a little bit because of that weather. Maybe it's more of a bit of a ground and pound. You got Kyron Williams, who's had a great year also for LA. Where are you feeling on that total?
I would, in these type of games, probably wild card games, divisional playoff games, things tighten up, especially when you've met a team already. And so I would think that this game will be a little bit on the conservative side, especially with the weather. I don't see a real huge shootout here. That's not the game that the Rams want to play. They rather play it in the trenches. So I think that's where, the number's right. I mean, you're exactly correct in that, 42.5 is about right where it should be. But, this game will probably be bet over. Most of our money will probably be on the over, but these games do tend to go under a lot because of all those factors I just mentioned.
And the main event tonight, we got 6:30 Eastern, Ravens at Buffalo. Baltimore, I'm seeing right now, 1-point favorite, so pretty much a pick 'em. Over under set, 51.5 total points. It's going to be cold in Buffalo. Looks dry, but 19 Fahrenheit here, which is going to be brutally cold. We're going to see the ice coming out of the mouths, the breathing and all that. But really, Johnny, as long as there's no precipitation or some heavy snow, I don't really think that cold matters that much. I still think these guys are going to be slinging it.
Well, it certainly doesn't matter to the Buffalo Bills. Matter of fact, the windier there can be, and I don't think the wind's going to be a factor today. It is going to be cold. There could be a little bit of snow, but from what I saw, the wind is not going to be those howling 20-mile-an-hour winds, which that does favor Josh Allen. Yeah, I mean, he can throw a curveball, with the best of them in the wind. Yeah. The Ravens, they come in with 5 straight wins, and then you go back to that first meeting where they won 35-10, and that was one of the games where the Bills were just never in it. The Ravens took the lead and just never looked back. And when you look at the stats in that game, the Ravens had 10 more first downs, rushing yards. They buried them. Henry had up about 200 yards rushing. Allen only had about 155 yards passing. The stats were really lopsided in that one. They were kind of like the stats that the Bills had over the Broncos last week. They were somewhere similar to that. The Bills certainly want to make a better showing this week, and I think they will. It's a tough matchup for both teams. I mean, who wants to play this game in a divisional round? Don't you play this game in the final,
I know. This is and you made a good point, Johnny, because how banged up are teams going to be coming out of this one to face Kansas City? That's going to be the X factor coming forward for it. And the money, I guess it's being spread around pretty evenly, right? Between Buffalo and the Ravens, with the spread that close, it's pretty much even.
Yeah, we did open up the Bills a 1.5-point favorite, and now we're at the Ravens 1.5. Now that may look like a big swing, but that happened early in the week, and it's been 1.5 the whole time on top Ravens. So at that number, we are getting some pretty good two-way action. It's going to be a heavily bet game. This will be the finale tonight. And both of these games will. I mean, they're both 4 high-profile teams. Everybody knows these teams well. Teams that have been to the playoffs multiple times. Couple Super Bowl winner in there, a couple Super Bowl winners. Although the Bills haven't won one, and they're the team that's like Detroit. Hasn't won. And at least the Bills have been there quite a few times. They just haven't been able to get over the hump.
Well, for this one, this being a Browns friendly show here, Johnny, I am rooting vigorously for the Buffalo Bills over the Ravens here, and then I think the formula, even though you can look at all the stats and Lamar puts up all these great regular season stats, the knock on the Ravens and him are that come to the playoffs. And like you said, when things tighten up, doesn't rise to the occasion. I think if this Bills defense can force him, and here's the difference this year, though. You got Derrick Henry you have to contain. So if you can slow him down, the Browns have done it before, but if you can slow him down to a point and still make Lamar Jackson throw the ball and not give him those little too much time in the pocket, hurry him up, Bills got the firepower, and I think the defense to win this game.
Well, I never talk much about the Bills defense. I just, I don't think it's very good. It's adequate at times. Last week they didn't give up a lot of points, but Denver was able to move the ball.
Yes.
And so there's the secondary for me is where that team needs a little bit of help. And the coach is claimed to be a defensive guy, and I just don't understand why their team's just not a little bit better defensively. One key to this game, Andy, is Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is going to give it a go and try to play, and he's a weapon out there. Not that the Ravens don't have other weapons they can go to, but he's a big deal out there. So we'll see if he's in the starting lineup when they get on the field today.
That's going to be something to watch for, and if he's not, then there's some anytime touchdown possibilities and things we can sort of tweak when it comes to those same game parlays, right? You look at who's on the field and who's not. And we got some good ones here, Johnny, when it comes to on the DraftKings Sportsbook. You go to the quick same game parlay. And I like you can have like you can have safer ones, under plus 200, 200 to 1,000, over 1,000. When it comes to these same game parlays, we're mixing and matching in these games, particular on Sunday. Is there any sort of general strategy? Do you like kind of coupling safer, we put safer bets, like a money line compared to a spread with some anytime touchdowns? Like, is there any strategy you recommend when it comes to these same game parlays on DraftKings?
Well, it's about risk reward. I mean, I've seen some $5 same game parlays come back $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. So it's so how risky do you want to be? You want a big payout or do you want a moderate payout? Either payout's going to pay well. But, do you want to go for it all or do you want to go for just half of it?
Yeah. Go for a single or a double or go for the home run, right?
There you go.
Johnny, it's going to be a fun day, man. Thank you so much for getting up early with us. And all the action on the DraftKings Sportsbook, right? You can jump in, play all day.
Thank you, Andy. Good talking to you.
All right, Johnny. See you later. There he goes. Johnny Avello, director from the DraftKings Sportsbook. Going to be a fun one today. And in the chat, Griff saying, I'm opposite of you, Andy. I think Baltimore wins. Hell no, Griff. No, we ain't having that. Lamar Jackson gets exposed again. Lamar Jackson will get exposed. And Josh, I'm wishing that and putting those hope molecules and putting out there into the universe. Josh Allen, Buffalo. Come on. Get it done. I cannot have those Ratbirds get to the conference championship. I can't do it. I can't have it. I need you to step up, Buffalo. I need Amari Cooper, former Brown. Come on. Step up. Everybody run hard. I think the front line of Buffalo, I think, can cause some havoc for Lamar Jackson. But like Johnny said, if he can open things up in the secondary a bit, gets a little iffy. And the Zay Flowers factor, not 100%. Does that mean we're going Bateman, Andrews, the Derrick Henry angle? That's where I think really you gotta go for it. I know Griff says he doesn't like the Bills. I know you don't like the Bills, Griff. Yeah, you Patriots fan. You've had the Bills number for a while. Come on. You're good. Okay? I don't want any of this Ratbird stuff. No. I'm going to be going with Buffalo. You know what? Let's do a little Let's do a same game. You know, let's do it. Let's do some sick picks here. Let's go.
It's time for Sick Picks. Brought to you by DraftKings. The crown is yours.
We're looking. We get some of the quick same game parlays that we can throw in on the DraftKings Sportsbook. And how about this? If we look, let's do a couple here. We'll do Rams Eagles, Saquon Barkley anytime touchdown, Kyron Williams anytime touchdown, ground game, bad weather, the running backs hitting. I like it. AJ Brown, 70 plus receiving yards. Even in the cold, you can still kick it to him. The one that makes me a little nervous, 90 plus for Puka Nacua receiving yards. I think if we can stomach that, plus 1,100 payout. That's pretty sweet. Plus 1,100 payout. I don't mind that one at all. Then we look at the Ravens-Bills game. Josh Allen, anytime touchdown score. Derrick Henry, anytime TD score. Both reasonable. 60 or more rushing yards for James Cook. Certainly should be doing that. And James Cook has had a great season. I might even throw in a James Cook anytime touchdown. And then 100 or more rushing yards for Derrick Henry. Whew. We do that. Plus 1,000. So you can handle that one. Or we can throw in this extra one here. Khalil Shakir, over 50 receiving yards. James Cook, over 60 rushing yards. Josh Allen, over 250. 1.5 passing touchdowns over for Josh Allen. And over the 51.5 point total. That's also plus 1,000. I might do those two separate. I think I'll mix in a James Cook anytime touchdown. I'm kind of feeling that one too. I think those are a few nice, solid, plus 1,000. Nice return money here. And Griff says, yeah, with Bateman. Bateman's just 3. The over-under on Bateman receptions are just 3, Griff? Really? That's, let me see some of that here. Hold on. Where's Bateman? Bateman, we got, okay, there's receiving yards. I don't see the actual there's receptions. Let's see here. Where's old Bateman? It's at 3. Wow, you can get 4 at plus 125. 4 more? I would do that. You can get 5 plus at 275. Especially if Flowers doesn't play. I would sprinkle in Bateman plus 125. Absolutely. Yeah, I would definitely do that. I might, if Flower doesn't go, I might do 5. I think even if Flowers, if he does play, there's no guarantee he doesn't get rehurt or is 100% because he's not 100%. I'd be taking that plus money at 4 or 5 for sure. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Let me know which DraftKings ones you're doing here. Also, folks, we're going to be going over in just a moment the fantasy football losers, your biggest disappointments of the fantasy football season. We talk all about who are the stars, who are the biggest disappointments. But playoffs, we're talking about playoffs here today, of course, and you bet we're talking about playoffs. And you can get in on the action. The DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the NFL. Scoring touchdowns is key to winning in the playoffs, and you can score big by betting on them at DraftKings, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple like player to score 6. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook app, use code 6sports to make your pick. So you bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly if you use code 6sports. That's all you got to do. You download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use code 6sports. That's code 6sports. New customers get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball.
All right, there you go. Now let's look at the biggest disappointments from the quarterback side in fantasy football. We'll go through each position group over the next few weeks. We'll have some time. But this is a case where we had high expectations on some of these quarterbacks. And I think really what it does is it helps us reevaluate going into next year, maybe not buying in on some of the hype. And a bit of a warning too, to like, let's say, I don't know, how about CJ Stroud? Near perfection regular season as a rookie, came back, not as good. Terrible? No, but certainly a sophomore dip. Warning sign for Jaden Daniels, because it looked like CJ Stroud is perfect as a guy, wasn't throwing picks. It seemed inflappable. He added Stephon Diggs, looked great. And then a step down in real life and fantasy football. Could happen to Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels seems like an absolute revelation. And who told you about him before the draft? Before the draft. Hopefully you got in way back like I did at plus 300 for him to win the Rookie of the Year. I got that. I told you Caleb Williams was fugazi from the start before the draft. So hopefully you listen to me on that one. But in any case, a warning sign maybe that Jaden Daniels could come back down to earth, because for CJ Stroud, so he was being drafted QB5 overall. Okay. He was offensive rookie of the year, sensational, but QB5, you added Diggs, Collins was there, Dell, you had injuries though and stuff. And in the end, QB18. QB18 for CJ Stroud. Who had CJ Stroud? I picked him up a bit. Another big disappointment who I had, and you know, I'll walk that back a little bit. It was a disappointment. Certainly still had some great fantasy weeks. But Jordan Love, I drafted in 3 leagues. I got great value on him. Oh, because he was coming more than 4,000 yards, 32 touchdowns in 2023. Looked like a next step. Josh Jacobs was sensational in the running game as a compliment, but he finished QB 17, failing to top 224 passing yards in 9 of 15 starts. Now, QB 17, he did still have some good pop weeks. So that did help, but he had banged. Remember, he had the ribs for a little bit and not where you were hoping, even though you were able to get him out of value. One of the biggest disappointments, Anthony Richardson. And I wasn't biting on him. I just didn't trust him. I didn't want a piece of him because he's still coming in. There are going to be some quarterbacks being drafted this year who have more experience than Anthony Richardson heading into year 3 when you combine college and NFL games based on his injuries. It's wild. Richardson, the preseason hype, because the legs, the speed, even with the injury, he was averaging being drafted QB6. Remember, he was benched for Joe Flacco for a while, right? Finished overall QB 25. Now, I wonder where Anthony Richardson goes this upcoming draft year, because maybe he falls in a 2 QB, or you want him as a backup. Maybe you get him at a really nice price, but certainly not a top 12 QB that I'd be looking at to draft in fantasy football this year. Like, he got benched. Like, he was banged up and he got benched. You brought him back. He's still inexperienced. How patient are they? Right? That's going to be the question. How patient are they when it comes to an Anthony Richardson? Also, Patrick Mahomes. Guys, okay, I told you going in, and real life wise, we talked about the guy wins. Could he get to another Super Bowl and win it? It's very likely. There's another way you point to say he won't become the first 3 straight Super Bowl winner. But fantasy-wise, no. Like, you can't go on name recognition. We know this. You can't go on name recognition. Pat Mahomes, look at this. He was being drafted ahead of Lamar Jackson, ahead of Joe Burrow. And he barely stayed in that QB1 conversation, finishing QB 11. Guys better than him in fantasy this year? Baker Mayfield, Jane Daniels, Bo Nix, Sam Darnold, for God's sake. All better than Patrick Mahomes. And when it comes to regular season in fantasy football, I don't see that changing. Patrick Mahomes is a fringe QB1. He's going to be in that 11 to 14 range because he doesn't have to. So Patrick Mahomes, buyer beware for sure. Don't get sucked in on the name value there. But those are a look at some of the quarterbacks, the biggest flops. Who is your biggest flop? I want to know. Who's your biggest fantasy flop? What's Griff saying? It says, I don't think Daniel slumps. Maybe Bo Nix, he could. I don't think Daniels is going to slump either. He seems special. But, like, look at the season CJ Stroud had last year. No one was thinking CJ Stroud was going to slump. He looked great. I'm just saying, I feel comfortable and I want pieces of Jaden Daniels, but this is a cautionary look at don't be shocked if we see a regression. Defensive coordinators are real smart. They'll try to pin you down. They'll try to figure you out. And then can you overcome that? I think CJ Stroud's going to be a value and a bounce back next year as well, depending what they do. I don't think Stephon Diggs is going to come back there. And so, yeah, like Griff saying, yeah, Stroud got figured out on film, and you had a bunch of injuries. So I think there's going to be some value next year for CJ Stroud, but certainly the disappointment and expectations. And, of course, there's going to be a lot of quarterback carousel movement going around, right? There's going to be the rookies. Who's starting? Where does Sam Darnold go? Does that matter? You know, there's Kirk Cousins. What happens there? There's still so much time, but those are some of the biggest fantasy football disappointments when it comes to this past season. We'll look at the running backs next Sunday. But this Tuesday show, I'm so looking forward to this, guys. Lance Reisland, Coach Lance from the Cleveland area, contributor to Cleveland.com, wrote a fantastic article breaking down comparisons. Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, who's better for the Browns? Our deep dive continues into this quarterback class. Does one, both fit? Who's better? Is maybe the answer none? Will the Dion factor come in? Does Dion behind the scenes say, hey, man, you draft my kid, he ain't coming there? Is that a factor? We don't know. We're going to talk to Lance about that on Tuesday. So cannot wait for that. Let me know your bets. Let me know any fantasy football dynasty offseason questions. Who do you want the Browns to take at QB? That 2-pick, what do you want to be done with that? And make sure you're following us on X at SickPodBrowns, at AndyMC81. Pop those best bets. Get your sick picks in. Let me know. I want to hear them. Subscribe, notification, share the channel. We love new faces in there. We love our usual faces in here. Jump in the chat. Notifications on. Subscribe. Instagram too, at AndyMC Sports. Big thanks out in Las Vegas to DraftKings Sportsbook Director Johnny Avello, for producer Shane, and to all of you. Let's enjoy some football today. And as always, go Browns!
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.